Guys, today I'm going to show you how I make my moisturizing face cream using the infused oils that we made yesterday. Here is a little bit of those oils, and in this batch of infused oil I use safflower oil, tamanu oil, and a little bit of almond oil in that batch, and then I infused herbs in there overnight in a water bath in my crock pot. And so the herbs that I used are rose hips, rose buds, chamomile calendula, lavender, and I added some echinacea. So that is what I use in my face cream. I did add another herb that I really love to use, but that's my special blend. So first we have, I'm making a larger batch. So my batch is going to have 5 ounces of oil. And then you can use any type of floral water that you have or like, or you can use plain distilled water. Right now I'm using aloe vera juice. Sometimes I cut that in half, sometimes I use it straight. So those are the loose oils that I'm using, and the liquid. Also inside of this batch I added about 1 ounce of aloe vera extract. You can use extract in your water phase of your lotion or cream. And I usually always add some type of extract. I also add my glycerin in the water because it's also water based. So you're going to have a water phase and you're going to have an oil phase. So now I'm going to share with you what oils and butters I use. Right now I'm going to move the camera so that you can see my setup. Okay, so right now we have our setup. Over here is the equipment that I'm going to use, but let's talk about the butters and oils. So we have shea butter, cocoa butter. This is my stearic acid. I always add stearic acid to my recipe. And I like to make my lotions using emulsifying wax. I find that I get a better result when I make my lotions that way. And this is my infused oil that I'm using. And I've already prepped my essential oils that I'm using. In this batch, I'm using orange, lavender, rosemary, and tea tree. Okay? And then I always add a preservative whenever you are making lotions or creams to give to others. You want to use a preservative. You don't want to have any bugs grow in there that can cause any bacteria to people's skin. And so my equipment includes a scraper, a scale. You can just use any kitchen scale, and I like to use a hand mixer. This is actually a immersion blender, and that works perfect for my lotions. So right now we're going to go ahead and add our hard butters. So I'm putting in the that's the cocoa butter, and I'm going to add the other waxes, and I'm going to let those melt first. I am not going to add the shea butter until after these have melted, because shea butter, it kind of gets grainy if it gets too warm. So even though we're still melting these gently, I still like to wait and add my shea butter after. So as you can see, the oils are already starting to melt together. Just a quick change, I did add my infused oils in here because you want everything to be of similar temperature. So once we're done with this, I am going to check the temperature, and you want the temperature of the oils and the water to be, or whatever flower water you're using, you want that to be close together in temperature, give or take 10 degrees. Okay, so we are going to come back in just a few minutes. Waiting for the oils to heat up. I wanted to show you, these are the jars that I use for my face cream, and I put them in a dark jar because I am using essential oils. And when you're using volatile oils or essential oils, anything like that, any type of herbs that you want to get the healing properties out of them, you want to protect them, and so you put them in a dark container. These are plastic, BPA free. So while I do that, what I do is I spray with alcohol. I just wanted to show you I have alcohol in this thing. I just do a quick spray and let it air dry. And this is the bowl that I'm going to mix the lotion in. It's usually large enough for me to do a big batch, so that's what I like. So our oils are completely melted except for the shea butter that I've added. And sometimes I will just turn the heat down off because the shea butter will just melt in this oil. Let's go ahead and check the temperature. And it's 173 degrees. So that's pretty warm. So that should be enough to melt this last bit. So I'm going to take this off and we're going to get ready to make our lotion. See what happened when I transferred the oils to the bowl. Because the bowl is colder and we have butters in there, they instantly harden. So I really actually do want this effect because I want the oils to cool down a little bit more so that oil and the water will be close in temperature. So if the water is too cool, sometimes I'll pop it in the microwave for like 30 seconds so that it can warm up a little bit. And so that's what I'll do right now. So we're ready to make our lotion. So I've warmed up the water a little bit. It's about 102 and the oils are about 125. That's good enough for me. Lotion is so persnickety. You kind of, it just depends on the temperature. But for me, I found that I've gotten a good recipe going, and so once I keep the temperatures as close as I can, then it usually works out just fine. So we have our oil and we have our liquid, and now we're just going to add I usually just add the oil to I add the liquid to the oil slowly as I'm blending. And I blend until I hit emulsion. Okay? So as you can see, we've already met emulsion. Once I do that, then I'm going to add, so it's pretty thick. I don't mix until it's super thick because I like to be able to pour it into my jars. But you certainly can keep mixing until you get it thick. It will thicken up once you put it in your jar. So right now, what I'm going to do is add my essential oils, and then I will add my preservative. So I'm going to mix it a little bit more. Okay. So I really love making lotion. I love the consistency of it. And now what I'm going to do is get my scale so that I can measure out my preservative. Preservative you apply about 0.1% of your batch. So I usually just put it on the scale like so, zero it out. At the same time, I like to check the temperature. I don't really do anything with that information, but when you're adding preservative, you don't want it to be greater than 120 degrees. So this is 97, so it's great timing to add the preservative. And for my recipe, I'm adding 0.2. You don't have to add a preservative if you're just making this for yourself, but if you're selling this or giving it to friends and family, it is a great idea to add a preservative. So you can either just hand mix this in, as long as it's mixed thoroughly, or you can stick blend. I usually do one last stick blend, and then I start pouring into my jars. So we'll be back for the last part of the step. Okay, so we're gonna begin pouring. You want to make sure that your jars are completely dry, which is why at the beginning of the process I do spray with alcohol. If you can also use a solution, a bleach solution, I forget the percentage, I'll have to put that in the comments below, but you can do that with a cloth also for cleaning. So now we're gonna just go ahead and pour our ingredients, pour our lotion, and then I usually leave it uncovered until it's completely dry, because when you cover them and they're still warm, it'll form condensation, and that is a source for bacteria to grow. So you don't want any additional liquid to be placed in that environment, especially after you've already preserved it. All right, so let's pour some lotion. As I'm pouring, it's thickening up. So sometimes I pause in between and just mix it a little bit so that there's not clumps everywhere. But look at that creamy consistency. So now we're done with our face cream, and this is my jar, so I'm going to use this as demonstration, but it's hard to see, but it's pretty creamy. And my skin is dry anyway, so I'm just gonna put some on for demonstration. It smells really delicious. But I didn't want this to smell like perfume or anything really. I really just chose the essential oils, especially for skin, especially for acne prone skin. And so that's what it's for. But I definitely smell the orange, which will put some vitamin C on your skin. But that is my face cream that I make. I'm very pleased with the results. When we were pouring, it looked like it was lotion consistency, but as you can see, it's not even been 5 minutes and it's already thickened up. So I'm just gonna let these cool off. And we will cover them and package them up. I did make some little samples for class. So you guys will be able to enjoy that as well. All right, happy making.